his run in Salt Lake is over. But, obviously the intimidation of a guy that's been around that long in Gundy and in this guy, if you look at their cases, they're very similar. It's been going on forever, right? And it's time for a change, I think, in Stillwater and in Salt Lake. I got to be honest with you. And believe me, if they lose again, they're going to get rid of him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
One that really sticks out to me the most, George, and he's having a fantastic season, is James Wood of the Washington Nationals. I mean, yes, Cal Raleigh's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. He's like a candidate for MVP of the American League. But every time I look up, George, James Wood is either getting 5 hits or being walked 4 times in a game. What a season for this guy.
And he's so young. What, he 22? So what a future this kid has ahead of him.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
You have a head coach in Jim Harbaugh that's proven he will cheat to win. He will win at the biggest stage and doesn't give a damn who cares or finds out, and he'll just move on. That's what I love about a coach. That's the type of coach that I want. Win at all costs. Now, also, at all costs means, like, how are we building this team? Because I actually thought Harbaugh would come in and say, okay, let me just see what the players on the roster is. We'll weed them out after a year, but there's a lot of talent. He built that foundation last year and still made the playoffs.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Online casino expansion in the U.S. is extremely slow, a lot slower than I think we all would have thought, 5 years ago as sports betting took off. But you're going to start to see, I think, next year, a few more states kind of trickle into this. On top of Maine, you had Illinois kind of talk about it. Governor J.B. Pritzker pitched it as an idea to help cut down the budget deficit. Of course, we've got a weird tax fallout there.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
Good morning. Welcome to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish. The Home Run Derby is in the books. We'll have a full recap as to who won and also hear from the winner last night. We'll have Josh Inglis from Covers on the show to break down tonight's All-Star Game and give you the latest in Major League Baseball. Also, our old friend Joe Raineri is going to join us here on the show. Joe and I used to host shows here at this time on SportsGrid several years ago. Gilbert McGregor with the latest in the National Basketball Association. And yes, NFL training camps are starting to open across the country. Rookies are reporting in several different places in the National Football League by this weekend. Everybody going to be back on the field with the first preseason game in the NFL in just a couple of weeks. But let's get to our top story as it pertains to sports betting today. Those of you who love making those $1 bets to try and turn one into 1,000 on a parlay, betting a million things, you're going to be out of luck in the state of Illinois. In fact, starting on July 16th, that's tomorrow, BetMGM is going to require a minimum wager of $2.50 for all bet types. That would include straight bets, parlays, in-game bets, round robins, hard rock bets also put a $2 minimum in place as well, trying to, I guess, weed out some of the smaller bettors and some of those people who like to do those $1 parlays, like putting together 20 different options to try and make money. Those days are gone in the state of Illinois. We'll see if anybody follows. Meanwhile, no parlays needed for Garrett Wilson. Stay away from the betting table. Not that he ever has, but he never will have to be. $130 million paid to Garrett Wilson, as being reported by ESPN today. Wilson also sent out a post on social media, said he bleeds green. And he's got a lot of green to go with it. $130 million, $90 million guaranteed for the great wide receiver. It'll average $31 million over the next 3 seasons, and he's under contract through 2030 as the Jets open up training camp coming up later this week. All right, now to Major League Baseball. Last night, did he catch the home run derby? Real exciting, actually. Last round especially went right down to the wire. The story of the first half of the baseball season has been Seattle Mariners catcher Cal Raleigh, who leads the majors in home runs at 38, and he also appropriately won the Derby last night. Cal Raleigh captures the championship, otherwise known in a lot of circles as the Big Dumper. Some people say that's the best nickname right now in professional sports. So he's got the home run title at the halfway point. He's got the Derby title now at the halfway point as well. And also a video has been circulating on social media when he was a kid saying he was going to win the home run derby. He was asked about that after winning last night.
How many times have you rewatched that video or been asked about it over the past week? And just how surreal is it to have it all come true tonight?
Yeah, I mean, that video is crazy. I mean, I don't know where they found that thing in the archives. So, yeah, I mean, just kind of surreal. You know, you don't think you're going to win it, and you don't think you're ever going to get invited, and then you get invited, and you know, the fact that you win it with your family and super special, and just what a night.
We'll go to Ron and go ahead.
God, congratulations. You become the first catcher and the first switch hitter to win the competition. How you feel about it?
Yeah, I didn't even know until after it. You know, pretty cool. You know, hopefully can inspire some future catchers, future switch hitters out there. And, you know, got to give credit to this guy right here. He's the one who made me both of them. So, catcher and a switch hitter. And, you know, just super, you know, blessed and grateful for where I'm at. And just unbelievable experience.
And his dad throwing those pitches to him really worked out well. All right, we'll see what he does tonight. Could he be the All-Star Game MVP? Who knows? Right now, it's about a pick'em game tonight. 8:30 Eastern will be the 95th Major League Baseball All-Star Game in Atlanta. National League is minus 116 on the money line. The total is 7. Starting pitchers in the American League, of course, it is going to be Tariq Skubal. For the National League, that is the home team. It will be Paul Skeens. Here's Dave Roberts on Aaron Boone on naming their starting pitchers.
The faces of this game for years to come. And so for me to have Paul represent the National League, and as you said, Pat, the first and only Pirates pitcher to ever do that in back-to-back games, All-Star games, unprecedented, and it wouldn't surprise me if he does it next year as well. But it's an honor to have him toe the rubber for the National League.
10-1 strikeout to walk ratio. 152 strikeouts now, 16 walks. Two things really hard to wrap your head around, but I think just speaks to his not only ability to command the baseball, but to do it in a dominant fashion. I can't wait to see him go get us off on a good note tomorrow night. But excited to go at it with this group tomorrow night and do it in Hotlanta.
And we'll also see a new wrinkle to the All-Star Game tonight, and we could see this in Major League Baseball next year. The challenge system, the ABS system for balls and strikes. Skubal and Skeens will both take their first shot at that in the exhibition this evening, although Skeens told the media yesterday, still undecided. Skubal said that he'll leave the challenges to his catcher.
To be implemented, I don't know, is it 2 challenges or is it going to be like unlimited, like spring training? I don't plan on using them. I probably am not going to use them in the future. I'm going to let the catcher do that. I have this thing where I think everything's a strike until the umpire calls it a ball. So with how good guys are behind the plate, you know, Cal's going to be really good behind the plate. So I don't know the strike zone a ton, but I mean, I guess there are some pitches that you think are strikes and you want them back, but I also think it's part of the game, and I love the human element of the game. You know, I think maybe some other guys don't, but yeah, those are my thoughts on it. I don't plan on using it though.
I think I don't know. I really do like the human element of the game. I think this is one of those things that you know, you kind of think that umpires are great until they're not. So I could kind of care less either way, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the right thing to say. Got to protect the umpires for the time being. Still a long season to play. All right, Tampa Bay Rays, according to The Athletic, are set to now officially be sold for $1.7 billion. The name of the new ownership will be Patrick Zalupski, right? Okay, he agreed to purchase the Rays. He says he wants to keep them in Tampa. That's sort of an incredible price tag when you think about it. Rays being sold for $1.7 billion and don't have a stadium, which is a few $100 million as well. Probably worth more than that. All right, the British Open officially kicks off tomorrow night because of the time change overseas. Scottie Scheffler right now is the current favorite, plus 450. Rory McIlroy is 7-1, followed by Jon Rahm, Bryson DeChambeau, and Xander is 25-1 as well. As we mentioned, NFL rookie camps opening all over the country today. In fact, the Hall of Fame game is July 31st. The Chargers and Lions. Get ready, folks. Football is coming. Here are the teams that have rookies on the field today. I'm sure we'll be hearing about this later. Ravens, Bills, Dolphins, Giants, 49ers, and Seahawks all reporting to camp this morning. Meanwhile, the news is not good for Browns rookie running back Quinshon Judkins from Ohio State. He's still unsigned, and who knows what his future looks like in the NFL. He was arrested over the weekend in Fort Lauderdale. His accuser told police he punched her with a closed fist in the chin-lip area, according to the arrest report, and later struck her in the left arm and thigh when they were leaving the airport back on July the 7th. Not good news there for the Browns and for this player individually. All right, the 76ers got some bad news as well today. Paul George underwent arthroscopic knee surgery, and so naturally the start of the season for Paul George very much in question as to even why he ended up doing the surgery here in the month of July. Sort of odd. Minnesota Lynx yesterday end up having a big second half. They beat the Chicago Sky 91-78. And the Phoenix Mercury in the WNBA also escaped Golden State with a 78-77 win over the Valkyries. In case you're paying any attention to the All-Star Game of the WNBA, it will be this coming Saturday night. We'll take a quick time out here on NewsWire on SportsGrid. Gilbert McGregor of Sporting News joins us, talk some NBA next. Don't go away.
Like Montreal, has a new coach. Like I might be the new coach of Montreal in 2 weeks. Like they have a new coach all the time, and they always have, oh yeah, we're playing a new system. They're like, they have a bunch of 20-year-old players and kids on the pitch. Anyone that's good, they sell and they trade for money all the time. Like it's a real disaster. But they hit a new low tonight, getting eliminated by the Forge.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
That is the idea. It really is for in-game live. You said it. The home team who's a double-digit or close to it anyway favorite and get off to a bad start and actually have them trailing by 5, 6, 7 to the point where you get it at pick-em. And I don't know how many times. I'd like to know a stat of how many times a team that's been favored by double digits, trailed by double digits, and actually won the game. I bet it's a lot.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
You've got issues up and down here. The bullpen is falling apart, to put it nicely. And have you seen the schedule for the Yankees for the rest of the month of July here? We have Seattle, then we have the Cubs, then you have Atlanta, then you have Toronto again in Toronto. That really didn't go all that well this week. And then you have Philadelphia and Tampa. Good luck to the Yankees in July here.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
They're still trying to throw Dalton Knecht's name in trades, and I don't even know if he's viewed as a positive asset still.
And that's a crazy thing. Dalton Knecht, if you look at FanDuel, Dalton Knecht 20-plus points at plus 120. He's giving you no indication that he's that right there. I mean, Kevin, I would be more likely if we knew we were going to get the minutes. Bronny James, 10-plus points at plus 118.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish, joined by Gilbert McGregor of Sporting News. Summer League basketball is taking shape here, but we're going to be missing Cooper Flagg for the remainder of the time in Las Vegas. Let's bring in Gilbert to talk about that. Gilbert, the Mavericks are shutting down Flagg after he had 31 points in his last Summer League appearance. So, look, I mean, we're seeing this more and more in the NBA after especially kids that have played a full complement of college basketball deep into the NCAA March Madness tournament, turn around for the draft. Feels like they just want to get them ready for the regular season.
Absolutely. There's definitely a precedent with shutting guys down early. I understand that some of the old school mode of thinking is that, let these guys go out there and play. He's 18 years old. But I also understand the fact that, listen, the Mavericks saw what they needed to see from Cooper Flag. He was aggressive in that first game against the Lakers, had 31 points against the Spurs, even though they lost. And what else do they need to see from him, right? Like, what does a Summer League championship mean for a team who's trying to compete for a real championship next year? And there's no need in risking him spraining an ankle or pulling anything while he's out there playing in these games against players that he's mostly better than. So I understand them shutting him down. They're focusing this training camp and getting him on the court and playing with Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving when he's back healthy. And it's all part of the process for the number one pick.
Make sure it makes sense is what I'm asking for, because this does not make sense here, Gilbert. What's going on with LeBron James? You're telling me that after getting Luka, all of a sudden the Lakers are going to turn around and trade LeBron? I'm reading stuff that says it's tied into maybe this new ownership group or something like that. I read a story that, help me make sense of this, that Luka was told, but LeBron was not. Come on, this doesn't make sense. And then they, wanted to talk to LeBron about it the other day at the Summer League, and he doesn't want to talk, of course. Man, it seems very far-fetched to me to think that he could be traded, but I guess I can't rule out anything in sports these days.
Yeah, especially after they made that move to get Luka Doncic. We never say never, but I think that I won't say it's much ado about nothing. I think that it's very calculated from LeBron James. He's been that way throughout his career, but specifically the last decade of his career. He feels like he's had 3 careers in one. He's going into year 23. But the fact that certain things get leaked to the media, it's unclear who actually has an in, who doesn't, or what's going on with LeBron James and Clutch. I understand that they're probably trying to put some pressure on the Lakers franchise. It does kind of feel similarly, if anybody remembers the Last Dance documentary, all that unrest with the Bulls organization and going into Michael Jordan's last season in Chicago. It feels similar to that. It feels like LeBron James is going to end up being in purple and gold this season. There's going to be a lot of talk and a lot of commotion, but eventually when training camp starts, when opening night starts, he will be with the Lakers, because ultimately there are not that many teams out there that can make a deal and a trade for LeBron James and keep their team intact, especially given the new salary cap stuff. So I feel like once everything kind of settles down, he'll be back, Luka will be back, and they'll try to go win a championship in LA.
Yeah, makes sense to me. All right, here's good news for the San Antonio Spurs. Wemby appears to be 100% and back. He was so good when he was playing. It was unfortunate he had those blood clot issues in his shoulder and didn't get to play the second half of last year. But now that he has been cleared, it sets up San Antonio, I think, for the future. Obviously, they're going to have a new head coach, Greg Popovich, no longer the coach there with the Spurs, and a lot of young players to go along with him.
Absolutely. We think about it. We only saw Victor Wembanyama play somewhere around 45, 46 games last season. But when healthy, I think it's not far-fetched to say he's a top 10 and maybe even a top 5 player this upcoming season, especially when you think about the injuries to other top players in the NBA. So you have a top 5, top 10 player in the NBA that's 21 years old, and the other guys around him. You saw that young core getting Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle, last year's Rookie of the Year. They're going for a 3 consecutive Rookie of the Year. I don't know if that's ever been done before, but back-to-back was certainly done this past year with Castle and Wembanyama. The Spurs are exciting. They're a team who was on pace to make it to the postseason had Victor Wembanyama not gone down with that issue. So I'm excited to see him back on the floor and excited to see the leaps that he makes in year 3, because he is certainly a superstar in the NBA, and it's going to be exciting to see him play with those guys around him.
Let's touch on the WNBA, Gilbert, while we have a few games left before they take the All-Star break as well, which is coming up Saturday night for the All-Star game. Minnesota Lynx have the best record right now in the WNBA. They're 19-4, and they win in Chicago. And actually, they were a threat to win it all last year. It feels like maybe even more so this year.
Absolutely. They were my pick coming into the season, and Nafisa Collier was my MVP pick coming into the season as well, because oftentimes you see teams that come up short. They're on a mission to get back where they were last year, and they kind of understand what it takes to get over that hump. And this game last night was a perfect example of that. They had a tough loss to the Sky over the weekend, and they were motivated to kind of get a little bit of revenge, and they definitely made a statement with that game. The record speaks for itself, and they've definitely been the best team in the W so far at this point. And it's good to be at that point at this juncture of the season going into the midway point.
What do you make of the Valkyries season thus far, opening up there? And they're 2.5. They were 2.5-point favorites yesterday. They get a win in the Bay Area.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a really fun team. You don't usually see in any sport, whether it's the WNBA or NHL or whatever. Expansion teams usually aren't that good right away, and they have an extremely cool home court advantage out at Chase Center. They call it Valhalla for the Valkyries, which is really fun for that team. They have a roster of players who really play well together. Not necessarily the biggest, flashiest names on that team, but it's really fun to watch what they have going on out there in the Bay Area, and I'm excited to see them hopefully make a push for the postseason.
Indiana Fever tonight take on the Connecticut Sun. I don't even know where I got that. The Sun. The Sun are. To me, this was stunning to see. 3-18 on the season. Indiana's 15.5-point road favorites. I thought the Fever were good, but I don't know that they're a championship contender. But this means to me that the Sun are the worst team in the WNBA.
Yeah, it's been a tough year for the Sun. It's basically just a new franchise based on the team that they've had in years past, new head coach and a lot of young players. And this game is actually going to be played in Boston at TD Garden, so should be a big crowd out there to see Caitlin Clark take the floor where the Celtics typically play. And there's some history between these two teams. Last time these two teams met, tempers flared a little bit, so I'm expecting a big game from Caitlin Clark. She struggled a little bit recently, but can she get back on track against a team who she has a little bit of a personal history with, specifically J.C. Sheldon, who played at Ohio State? So there's some Big Ten stuff going on there as well. So looking for Caitlin Clark to bounce back, and the Fever probably take care of business.
All right, last preview. Let's go to Los Angeles. The Sparks are at home getting 2 against the Washington Mystics tonight. Any opinion on this one?
The Mystics on a 3-game win streak. The Mystics have been playing well. They're a solid road team. The Sparks actually aren't that great at home. So I like the Mystics in this game just because I think the rookies will play well. Sonia Citron and Kiki Iriefin, who's back in LA. She played at USC. She's from LA. So maybe a good homecoming game for her.
All right, Gilbert, enjoy the WNBA All-Star Game this weekend. We'll be back with you again next week. Thanks for coming on.
Looking forward to it.
All right, coming up next, it's time to check in on Southeastern Conference Media Days. We'll hear from LSU head coach Brian Kelly. We'll hear from South Carolina's Shane Beamer and also Mississippi's Lane Kiffin. Everything going on in college football, Southeastern Conference. We'll give that to you next with the SportsGrid sound off right after the break.
Montreal has a new coach. I might be the new coach of Montreal in 2 weeks. They have a new coach all the time, and they always have, we're playing a new system. They're they have a bunch of 20-year-old players and kids on the pitch. Anyone that's good, they sell and they trade for money all the time. It's a real disaster, but they hit a new low tonight, getting eliminated by the Forge.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
That is the idea. It really is for in-game live. Have you said it? The home team, who's a double-digit or close to it anyway, favorite, and get off to a bad start and actually have them trailing by 5, 6, 7 to the point where you get it at Pick'em. And I don't know how many times. I'd like to know a stat of how many times a team that's been favored by double digits, trailed by double digits, and actually won the game. I bet it's a lot.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
You've got issues up and down here. The bullpen is falling apart, to put it nicely. And have you seen the schedule for the Yankees for the rest of the month of July here? We have Seattle, then we have the Cubs, then you have Atlanta, then you have Toronto again in Toronto. That really didn't go all that well this week. And then you have Philadelphia and Tampa. Good luck to the Yankees in July here.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
They're still trying to throw Dalton Connect's name in trades, and I don't even know if he's viewed as a positive asset still.
And that's a crazy thing. Dalton Connect, if you look at FanDuel, Dalton Connect 20-plus points at plus 120. He's giving you no indication that he's that right there. Kevin, I would be more likely if we knew we were going to get the minutes. Bronny James, 10-plus points at plus 118.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Before you know it, it'll be college football season. In fact, week 0 of college football just a few weeks away. And then in week 1, everybody's back on the field in college sports. Kind of crazy here. It's coming up soon, folks. Get ready. All right, SEC Media Days going on yesterday. Coaches in suits and ties back talking to the media about the upcoming football seasons. We're going to hear from 3 primary coaches in the conference here as we entertain you with the SportsGrid Sound Off. Another critical season for the LSU Tigers, certainly on deck. One of the teams expected to make a run at the SEC championship, and there's no question there's always pressure on these coaches, right? So it should be no surprise that Brian Kelly is feeling it too. His fourth season at LSU opens up with a really tough matchup right out of the gate, of course, with Clemson. But Kelly, no stranger to big matchups in week one, and also no stranger to his buddy Dabo Swinney.
I know everybody's excited about the season. Everybody here is excited about it. And we're certainly looking forward to the opportunity because we open up with a great program in Clemson. I know Dabo very well and respect him and his program and the accomplishments they've had. We've played against each other several times when I was at Notre Dame and just have a ton of respect. But we've also been 0-3 in openers at LSU under my watch. And we needed to do some things differently this year. And that is embrace this opener and embracing it in a manner that this is a big game. And it's a tangible goal for our football team to want to be 1-0. It's not let's warm it up into the season. We want to be ready for this football game. And so we're doing everything in our power to give our players the opportunity for that success.
I think Ben Stevens getting fired up just watching that video right there. All right, one of the favorites to win the Heisman Trophy Award, might pick to win the Heisman Trophy Award this season, is Lenora Sellers, the quarterback from the South Carolina Gamecocks. But they got to keep this kid on the field for the entire season in order to have a shot at getting into the college football playoff. That's where South Carolina wants to be, according to head coach Shane Beamer.
Yeah, it's a fine line, but that's what makes him so good is just that natural playmaking ability that he has. And I've never told him don't run or anything. Be smart, and he's a smart guy. He knows when to get down and try and avoid contact, and he'll be even better at that this year for sure. But the thing that I would like to see is a lot of his long plays last year from a running standpoint or throws were because one, protection broke down, or two, he maybe didn't get rid of the ball as quickly as he should have. So let's be better in 25 about when to get rid of the ball, but also with protection. So he's not getting hit by 4 people in the backfield against Clemson and then somehow comes out of it and runs for 40 yards down the field. As cool as that is to watch, I'd rather it be the other way. But it's one of those, you don't try and overcoach it. And not that I'm not a quarterback guru by any stretch of imagination, but I was in college with Michael Vick, and I was at Oklahoma with Kyler Murray and Jalen Hurts, and being around guys like that, those guys that are weapons with their feet. You want to have that as a part of your offense, but you also want to be smart too, especially in this league with the defenses that we play week in, week out.
And Sellers will be a big part of their offense. Meanwhile, Mississippi, high expectations now with Lane Kiffin back as head coach of the Rebels. Kiffin talking about the new NIL deals for a lot of players, wondering if there is just too much money going around for some of these schools that really don't have any issues spending it. Could it mean a salary cap is in play? Here's Kiffin.
Doesn't seem like that's working very well. So, yeah, I mean, I was stating the obvious. That was the intention of what was going on, because there was so much complaints when NIL started and everything about, okay, everybody's got different advantages and different payrolls, and we saw those a couple of years ago, and I was up here at one of these joking about there should be a luxury tax, because A&M spending or whatever it was, so then that was supposed to be being fixed, and now it's not. So again, we've tried to follow these guidelines because that's what we were told we needed to do. And I'm not calling anybody out. I'm not even saying they're wrong for doing it. If the system isn't solid enough to prevent that, then we really don't have a system. And then so you're not operating in a salary cap. So.
All right. Could there be a salary cap in college sports, just like the NFL? Probably headed there. All right. We're headed next to Joe Raineri of SportsGrid, just up the road from me. We'll check in on this latest big signing by the New York Jets, touch on some National Football League action. You're watching NewsWire on SportsGrid. We'll be right back after these quick messages. Don't go away.
Like Montreal, has a new coach. Like I might be the new coach in Montreal in 2 weeks. Like they have a new coach all the time, and they always have, oh yeah, we're playing a new system. They're like, they have a bunch of 20-year-old players and kids on the pitch. Anyone that's good, they sell and they trade for money all the time. Like it's a real disaster. But they hit a new low tonight, getting eliminated by the Forge.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
That is the idea. It really is for in-game live. Have you said it? The home team who's a double-digit or close to it anyway favorite and get off to a bad start and actually have them trailing by 5, 6, 7 to the point where you get it at pick'em. And I don't know how many times. I'd like to know a stat of how many times a team that's been favored by double digits, trailed by double digits, and actually won the game. I bet it's a lot.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
You've got issues up and down here. The bullpen is falling apart, to put it nicely. And have you seen the schedule for the Yankees for the rest of the month of July here? We have Seattle, then we have the Cubs, then you have Atlanta, then you have Toronto again in Toronto. That really didn't go all that well this week. And then you have Philadelphia and Tampa. Good luck to the Yankees in July here.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
They're still trying to throw Dalton Knecht's name in trades, and I don't even know if he's viewed as a positive asset still.
And that's a crazy thing. Dalton Knecht, if you look at FanDuel, Dalton Knecht 20-plus points at plus 120. He's giving you no indication that he's that right there. I mean, Kevin, I would be more likely if we knew we were going to get the minutes. Bronny James, 10-plus points at plus 118.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Always great to reconnect with my buddy Joe Raineri from SportsGrid. Of course, Joe and I have hosted shows through the years during some really lean times, we would say here. During times when there were no sports, Joe and I did the COVID shows together here live, went through the history of sports. You know, Joe, people should archive, though. They could learn a lot for what happened pre-2020 if they went back in our archives.
Yeah, it was the pure definition of creativity is what we had, Craig. I think we even mimed a show once, which was pretty entertaining.
We did. Best stadiums in sports for 2 hours live on Sports. Anyway, happy to, it kind of feels like that now in sports too. You know, I mean, this is like the dead time of the year supposedly, but meanwhile, the National Football League's like, no, we're going to give you some news today. So we got it. Let's dive in here. Garrett Wilson stays in New York. The Jets certainly looked at things a little bit differently last year and brought in Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers, but look who made it through and got paid. It is Garrett Wilson and his AAV just under some of the best receivers in the NFL in Metcalf, Lamb, and Jefferson. Do you think that Wilson is ready to take that jump back to where he was a couple of years ago? Kind of felt like, and by the way, Davante Adams played really well at the end of the season last year for the Jets. So let me not say that Aaron Rodgers just threw Adams in and he stunk. That was not the case, but it did seem like he preferred to throw to Adams.
He did, and we kind of knew that was going to be a possibility the minute he came over to the New York Jets. But the reality is that this kid, since he's been in the league in 2022, right, he's had at least he's gone past the 1,000-yard mark in each of the years that he has been here with the New York Jets. And let's also be realistic that he's gone through not one, not two, not three. He's gone through 7 quarterbacks here with the New York Jets in 3 years. And the fact that he still put up those kinds of numbers, I mean, listen, he's not Justin Jefferson, but he's certainly top 5, I think. And that's kind of the money that they gave him, was a top 5 receiver. And he's done the most with the least as far as I'm concerned.
A lot of people seem to have some steam here on the Jets being better than people think that the prognostications are, and also the win total over on FanDuel has them at 5.5. I mean, we're going to be hot and heavy talking about this soon, Joe, once the preseason begins. To make the playoffs, they're plus 470. To win the East, that seems a little far-fetched at 17-1. But what do you think about their win total, though, at 5.5? Do they have enough coming back this year to hit that?
Well, as a suffering New York Jets fan, as you know, there, Craig, this is as good as it gets for Jet fans this time of year because this is when we're most hopeful. Then eventually they play the games and we cry and realize that it's just never going to work out. However, I do think with them having the lowest win total in the AFC East, they have a average schedule at best here. And let's face it, this team is not void of any talent. There's always been an issue maybe with coaching and what was going to happen, but Aaron Glenn puts them in a different category in what I think outside of Buffalo is a pretty weak division this year. So seeing them win 6 games with the kind of talent they have on both sides of the ball, I don't think that's out of the question.
Yeah, no, I think so too. And, I definitely think there'll be several teams worse than them. At least we can start there, like the Saints and the Browns. I think that is fair too. Okay, so the 49ers had a story that they don't want to hear coming out with all of the rookies reporting, certainly, and some not, by the way. A lot of second-round picks are not. That Jawan Jennings is looking for a new contract. 3rd year in a row, Joe, that a wide receiver on the 49ers is looking for a new deal. It was Debo, then Ayuk, and now Jennings. And I kind of get it a little bit with Jennings, Joe, because every time he plays as a backup, he's a star. But is he a star in the NFL that he deserves to get paid, elite money for a wide receiver? What do you think?
Well, it's all about leverage, isn't it, right now? And right because of the wide receiver room with the 49ers, Jennings understands he's got a little bit of leverage right now, and he's got an opportunity to cash in because Brandon Ayuk is still recovering from the knee injury last year. They've got the second-year wideout, former, well, you know this, UF receiver there, Ricky Pearsall, who is, they have high hopes for him, but they need Jennings. Let's face it, especially since they don't have any idea when Brandon Ayuk may be back to 100%. You still got Kittle, but I'm not thinking this is going to break the bank. I think the 49ers will ultimately find a way to adjust his deal, keep him in town. And plus, they already got rid of all that money by trading Deebo Samuel. So they got all of that off the books. I think they can afford to keep him.
So this is a strange number to me, Joe. Given the season the 49ers had last year, their win total's 10.5 going into the year. It feels high to me. Maybe I'm off. I guess the thing is that what the 49ers look like when they have McCaffrey and they don't. And they're just such a great team when McCaffrey is healthy. But that's kind of what you're banking on if you bet the over, aren't you?
While you're expecting a bounce back season, it was a very rare down year, but it was also all about the injuries, right? I mean, they didn't have Christian McCaffrey until week 10? You had 14 of their 22 regular starters missed at least significant time last year on this 49ers team. So you finished 6-11, and it's not great. You're in last place there. But the good news is you got McCaffrey, you got Purdy, you got Trent Williams, you got Kittle, you got Bosa, you got Fred Warner, and you brought back Robert Saleh, who reunites with Shanahan as the DC. This is a team with a lot of talent. And because they were so bad last year, they actually have the easiest rated schedule in the NFL this year. Without a doubt, I think the 49ers are in bounce back mode, and I think Brock Purdy getting the money. A lot less questions here with the regulars as long as they stay healthy. And that's, of course, the big if here, Craig.
Yeah, always if with that team. And the Rams, by the way, plus 175 right there with the 49ers. Cardinals a little bit more of a long shot. And then Seattle, no one quite sure how they're going to look this year. Plus 550, a little bit different going in with their quarterback situation with Sam Darnold this year. All right, the Philadelphia Eagles win total is 11.5 going into the season. And as their rookies report for camp, we're starting to hear some words from the coach and everyone else. I know that the tush push is back. That's a big deal for them. They're pretty heavy favorites, Joe, to win the NFC East at minus 135. You see minus money on the playoffs, too, to win the Super Bowl, plus 750. Feels like they'll be back in the mix once again, but I just wonder. It just seems so difficult in this day and age to win back-to-back anything in sports that I'd probably pivot and pick someone else.
I'm certainly taking the under 11.5 wins here. I mean, there's no doubt, Craig, that the Eagles are stacked again. Defensively, They'll be good offensively. Again, Saquon having the kind of year that he did. Can he stay healthy? But the thing that really bothers me is the fact that they had so much go right for him last year, from injury luck to going 8-1 in one possession games. They played 6 games last year on the schedule against playoff teams. You know how many playoff teams they're going up against this year? 11. They have one of the top 10 toughest schedules, and they don't have a back-to-back home game all year long, which is really kind of strange here. And you got Dallas and the Giants, who are expected to be better. Over 11 and a half? I don't think so. I mean, they may get to 10, 11. I don't think they get more wins than that, though.
All right, finally, Joe, quarterbacks going into their second year, real quick. Caleb Williams, Michael Penix, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix. Those are the 5 coming back. And then J.J. McCarthy really in his first year as well. Do you expect all of them to take the next step, or do you think any of them take a step back?
Well, I mean, to me, I was never a big Caleb Williams fan to begin with. I think what you saw last year, Craig, is what you're going to get from him again. So I am not a big believer in Caleb Williams. I think he continues, unfortunately, with a new coach, regressing.
What are you working this weekend, Joe, here on SportsGrid?
Tomorrow night, game time decisions, and then in-game live all weekend.
What are those game time decisions tomorrow night, Joe?
6:30 to 8 tomorrow and Friday. You can catch me.
Yeah, but what are the decisions to be made? That's the question.
Well, coming on this show is the biggest decision. I'll tell you that, Craig.
All right, Joe. See you later.
New to casinos and not sure what to play? Well, try blackjack first. It has a lower house advantage compared to other table games, making it especially player-friendly. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Time for the Blue Jays to really make another addition at the deadline. They just got Max Scherzer back. Can they get another pitcher to help out with the pitching staff, which I still think is their biggest issue? They're looking in to be in a good spot right now.
And also, Tom, like just the evolution of handicapping, right? Early in the season, like, I don't want to take this Blue Jays lineup. Like, it's really bad. Now, the past couple weeks, like, every day I'm looking at the Blue Jays going like, ooh, team total, RBI chances, guys that were in household names at the beginning of the year.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Scrounge out a couple of quarters from under the couch to go trade for somebody who actually makes some money. I don't think that he would actually do that. That's not in Hal's style the last couple of years, especially in season. I saw they signed that Heimer Candelario, who the Reds released. That's more their style, going the discount aisle as opposed to trading for someone who's actually having a huge year like Suarez.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
They're still trying to throw Dalton Knecht's name in trades, and I don't even know if he's viewed as a positive asset still.
And that's a crazy thing. Dalton Knecht, if you look at FanDuel, Dalton Knecht 20-plus points at plus 120. He's giving you no indication that he's that right there. I mean, Kevin, I would be more likely if we knew we were going to get the minutes. Bronny James, 10-plus points at plus 118.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to NewsWire. All-Star Game is tonight in Atlanta, Georgia. Josh Inglis has the winner, the MVP, and all of the, I mean, it's just the easiest game to bet on in baseball. I'm just kidding, all year. I mean, this is as difficult as it gets. So let's try and see if we can sort of figure anything out here, Josh. Thanks for coming on the show. All right, so look, the NL, I mean, I did a handicap earlier. The NL is minus 116. They asked me who I thought was going to win on my own network, and I'm like, all right, well, I mean, I guess I know Paul Skeens is pitching for the NL, so that's a good inning. I know Mizorowski's going to have to pitch. I mean, that's got to be a good inning, right? Because they're going to use him in this game. They can't have him just pitch 5 games and name him to the All-Star game. But these All-Star games, Josh, they don't get decided until the late innings anyway. And so then I went against myself, and I'm like, wait a second, Kershaw has to pitch too, right? And he's probably not deserving of the All-Star team, so maybe they hit him a little bit. Oof, I don't know. This is a tough one.
I do like the fact that you said this game will be decided in later innings, which, if you're looking at the MVP market, gives a little more value for the reserves than the starters. That's where kind of my handicap goes towards this game. The starters are usually priced much shorter just because they're the bigger names, they're the bigger people. But looking at the reserves, I'm looking at putting in guys in big key spots, high leverage situations like we saw Jared Duran last year. I hit him 70-1. That was about as lucky as it gets. But I kind of treat like the All-Star Game MVP board kind of like roulette, where you just kind of, I'm taking 2 units, I'm putting some on this side, I'm putting some on that side, because picking a side might be the hardest thing in this game. Like you said, minus 115 to minus 105. I think I'd be inclined just to take the better price just because of how close of a game this is going to be. But where I am on the MVP side, it's interesting because the lineups are already out. And one thing we do know is that managers are not going to get cute, because the last thing that you want to do as a manager is make sure that someone doesn't get into this game. Your job is to make sure you get into this game. So when we're making substitutions, usually it's 1-for-1 for the position. It's not, I'm just going to put this in here and then I'm going to juggle things up later there, because that's when you can get into trouble. So knowing that, we go position by position, and we see on the AL side, we have Gleyber Torres leading off, Riley Green left field, to Aaron Judge right field, hitting out of the 3 spot. Those are 2 top 3 spots for the outfield, for the AL outfield, where the reserves could come in and maybe even get a 3rd plate appearance, which would be absolutely huge. What I like in that even more is that they only have 3 outfielders in the reserve. They got Buxton, they got Kwan, and they got Randy Arozarena. McKinstry might be able to play the outfield, but outside of that, you got Buxton, maybe the only true center fielder in that spot. You got Buxton, 40-1, Kwan, 100-1, Arozarena, 60-1. Those are numbers that I don't mind taking shots at a quarter unit, 1 full unit on the AL side, 1 full unit on the NL side. Hopefully maybe win somewhere in that 8 to 9 unit range. And another good one, Cal Raleig's hitting out of the 4 spot in this AL lineup. Alejandro Kirk, he's not going to get run for, because there are only 2 catchers. So when he comes in, he's going to be catching that game right till the end. So he's going to be in a good spot in that 4. He's 85-1 for MVP. So a little value on the late guys, because those are going to be the high leverage spots. We're just hoping for a tie game like we saw last year, kind of in the middle innings. And then just guys hopefully going into those spots, into that 2 spot, into that 3 spot. On the NL side, kind of looking at the other side, I'm kind of disappointed because I wanted to take the same approach, take the outfielders and kind of put them all together. But we got Pico Armstrong hitting in the 9 spot, which I don't kind of love. Kyle Tucker in the 7 spot, so there won't be a ton of at-bats. But Ketel Marte in the 3 hole, Manny Machado in the 5 hole. That's given some value to those other guys taking those spots. In Brendan Donovan at 110-1 and Suarez at 60-1. So they'll be in some middle lineups, late inning stuff. And then Stowers at 80-1. Have to take it just because I'm really liking the price, and I really like that there's just not a lot of talent in that outfield spot. And Corbin Carroll, 45-1. That's just a giant number for a guy who can do a lot of things at the plate. Big prices, big swings, but I think you kind of have to look at the guys coming in, where they're going to come in. And we know that Dave Roberts has coached these before. He's about 2 plate appearances per guy. He'll get his starters 2 plate appearances, see you later, and then the reserves.
Yeah, Stowers, hottest player going into this too, 5 for 5 on Sunday before the All-Star game. All right, so real quick, so the other players, just so we could show folks, it was a great breakdown, Josh, but the other players are Ohtani, Judge, Acuna, Raleigh, and Armstrong, and I think Josh just basically spelled it out for you. As much as we love Armstrong, he's batting 9th, he's 12-1. I don't even know if he could get 2 plate appearances in this game. So let's pivot away now from the All-Star game. Let's go to the second half of the season, which will kick off again on Friday night. The races for a lot of the awards, at least according to the odds on FanDuel, appear to be over. And I want your opinion on this, because it's sort of rare to be in July and have these just so long, with Judge being minus 600 to win the AL MVP and Ohtani at minus 800 to win the National League MVP. And so you don't see this that often. And I feel like we're going to get a little overload of popularity contests with the Yankees and the Dodgers. But I guess I wonder from your perspective, Josh, should Raleigh's odds be a little bit shorter here? Because Otani, I get it, but it feels like Raleigh's right there.
Not even close. I don't think so. Judge's season is insane right now. He's 100 points better in slugging. His WOBA's 70 points better. He's hitting 355. I don't care about the home runs. This is a guy who maybe his 425 BABIP isn't sustainable, but this is one of the best offensive seasons we've seen in a long time. If anything, I think Judge should be in that Otani range.
Okay. American League Cy Young, we have Skubal at minus 210. Looks like a two-player race with Crochet plus 260. Can he catch him?
I think Crochet should be a little shorter, honestly. I think looking at their numbers, looking at advanced metrics, I think you're looking at very similar guys. And if Boston starts to make a playoff push right now and Garrett Crochet's in charge of that, and he's out of the All-Star game right now, there's a spot where that could turn into what we're seeing in the NL, which is like a minus 125, plus 110 race for Wheeler and Skeens. I think both of those races are that close that they should be both mirrored of those odds that are in the NL.
Sort of incredible that we have three Phillies, right, in the top 5 for odds to win the National League Cy Young.
And if Paul Skeens could throw more than 90 pitches, he's deserving of the award. But his question mark going down to the end of the season is enough to warrant to stay away and maybe even get last call on Wheeler at minus 125.
Yeah, very true. May not pitch last week or two of the season. Thanks again, Josh, for coming in. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Enjoy the game. Take care, Craig.
All right, we'll wrap it up next.
New to casinos and not sure what to play? Well, try blackjack first. It has a lower house advantage compared to other table games, making it especially player-friendly. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Time for the Blue Jays to really make another addition at the deadline. They just got Max Scherzer back. Can they get another pitcher to help out with the pitching staff, which I still think is their biggest issue? They're looking in to be in a good spot right now.
And also, Tom, like just the evolution of handicapping, right? Early in the season, I don't want to take this Blue Jays lineup. Like, it's really bad. Now, the past couple weeks, like, every day I'm looking at the Blue Jays going like, ooh, team total, RBI chances, guys that were in household names at the beginning of the year.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Scrounge out a couple of quarters from under the couch to go trade for somebody who actually makes some money. I don't think that he would actually do that. That's not in Hal's style the last couple of years, especially in season. I saw they signed that Heimer Candelario, who the Reds released. That's more their style, going the discount aisle as opposed to trading for someone who's actually having a huge year like Suarez.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
They're still trying to throw Dalton Knecht's name in trades, and I don't even know if he's viewed as a positive asset still.
And that's a crazy thing. Dalton Knecht, if you look at FanDuel, Dalton Knecht 20-plus points at plus 120. He's giving you no indication that he's that right there. I mean, Kevin, I would be more likely if we knew we were going to get the minutes. Bronny James, 10-plus points at plus 118.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire. As a reminder, for those of you getting ready for the upcoming British Open, you want to make sure that you catch our show tomorrow. We'll have a full preview of the upcoming championship this weekend because it does begin very early in the morning here in the United States on Thursday. So full British Open preview on the show tomorrow. Meanwhile, we got Home Run Derby in the books. And one kid in the outfield making a name for himself, not in the way that he probably thought he would, but he did. Teddy Bridgewater comes under fire for doing just what seemed to be the right thing. And could Nick Saban make a return to college football? All that and more. It's time now for Last Licks. All right, very exciting home run derby last night. Thought it was a lot of fun. Good to watch it come right down to the end. Cal Raleigh versus Junior Caminero in the finals. And Caminero did everything he could to possibly win this thing. But there was one ball that he hit in the home run derby that was a home run that didn't go over the fence. First time I've ever seen this in the history of watching the home run derby. So he hits a shot to left field, and if you've watched home run derby before, you know that they usually have kids in the outfield making catches. What was interesting is that they did not have a lot of young kids in the outfield. I don't know if you noticed that last night in Atlanta. Usually it's a lot of really young kids. It wasn't the case last night. So Caminero hits the shot going over the fence in left field, but the ball shagger, I guess it's called, decides to go over the fence or kind of go over the fence and catch the ball. So he stole a home run in home run derby. Unprecedented. Never seen it before. Now, the Athletic did catch up with this young man who is nameless, I believe, at this point, because probably doesn't want to have his name out there, although someone will because there's video of it, and said that he kind of got lost in the moment, didn't realize where he was in that moment, was simply going for the ball. I'm sure this kid plays baseball somewhere, and then unfortunately reacted, stole the home run from Caminero. But the rules committee prevailed, gave him his home run, didn't factor into the final outcome, but for a quick second there, we thought, oh, what a grave mistake this kid has made. Home run derby, gotta let that. Well, you think they'll change it next year? You think they'll not have kids in the outfield? Because it seemed like his buddy, as soon as he did it, was like, what are you doing? Can't do that. Oh, Ryan Sandberg had a home run robbed in 1985. Okay, didn't know that. There you go. All right, Teddy Bridgewater, the returned home to coach at his high school. Apparently he's a volunteer. I didn't even know that. So Teddy Bridgewater has been suspended from coaching. And the reason why he's been suspended, get this, is because he helped out the kids in high school, helped with a training camp, helped out with some team pride sets, spent over $2,000 for pregame meals, $1,000 for recovery, and also spent some money on Ubers just to make sure that his kids got a chance to play high school football. But because of rules in high school that used to be similar to college, you can't do that, and now he's been suspended. Now, Bridgewater says, well, I'm a volunteer, and since I'm a volunteer and I'm not an employee, I should be able to do this. You would have to think at some point someone is going to step in and say, hey, let Teddy B help out these kids. I mean, remember also, some high schools, depends on where they are, and Northwestern in particular is not just rolling in money. These kids are just not rolling in dough there at Miami Northwestern. So I hope they get this figured out, because it seems like Teddy Bridgewater is not only a good coach, but seems like a good guy as well. All right, finally, I don't know that you would call Nick Saban a good guy. Not going to go that far. I remember him as his term as head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Nobody would say that. But Nick Saban, how about him? He hasn't coached in college football now in a couple of years. Said that Greg McElroy, former quarterback, who's now a broadcaster of college football, said that a person in the know believes that Nick Saban will return to coaching. Quote, if it wasn't someone notable, I would never say a word. Now, Nick Saban retired because he said he didn't want to get involved in these old NILs and having to pay kids. He just wanted to walk into a living room and say, hey, come play for me. Here's all the rings that I have on my finger. Is there a possibility? I would say yes. I'm not saying that what Greg McElroy is saying is going to happen, but we've seen college coaches return and they're just lifers and they have to get back in the game time and time again. So I would not rule it out. Where would Nick Saban coach? It would have to be like the perfect situation. Couldn't beat Alabama, I don't think, again. I don't know. Definitely something to monitor this summer. That'll do it for our show today. Thanks again to Josh Inglis for coming on the program, as well as Gilbert McGregor and Joe Raineri. Those were our guests. Tonight on Pharrell Coast to Coast, Scotty's got a preview of the All-Star Game. You can rest assured he's got that, followed by Front Office Sports tonight at 6. Game time decisions this evening, in-game live game day, and then Sports Rage tonight. Make sure you catch all of our programming. Thanks again to Luke, and for my director, Frank, I'm Craig Mish. Enjoy the All-Star Game tonight, And tomorrow we'll have a full preview of the British Open and all the action going on this weekend. I know there's not a ton, but trust me, we make it interesting for you. We'll do it tomorrow. See you.